Introduction. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. My dear brothers and sisters, today I want to share with you a powerful message that resonates deeply with every one of us. This message revolves around one of the most profound teachings of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the power of a mother's prayer. Imagine for a moment a mother's heartfelt supplication, a prayer uttered from the depths of her soul. What can be more powerful than that? The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us that there are three types of prayers that are always accepted by Allah. Among them is the prayer of a parent for their child. This is a privilege and a responsibility that every parent holds. But with such power comes the need for caution, as this prayer, whether positive or negative, carries significant consequences. Today, we will explore these lessons and reflect on the deep impact that the prayers of our parents, especially our mothers, can have on our lives. Number 1. The accepted prayers in Islam. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that certain prayers hold an extraordinary place in the eyes of Allah. Among these are the prayers of the oppressed, the traveler, and a parent for their child. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, 3 supplications are not rejected: the prayer of a father or parent, the prayer of a traveler, and the prayer of the oppressed. Tirmidhi. Let's pause for a moment to reflect on the power of these prayers. The prayer of the oppressed, someone who has been wronged or harmed, has a direct connection to Allah. In a world filled with injustice, Allah reminds us that no act of oppression goes unnoticed, and He listens to the cries of those who suffer. Similarly, the traveler, often vulnerable and away from home, finds their prayers elevated in the sight of Allah. But the one that hits closest to home for many of us is the prayer of a parent for their child. There is an undeniable bond between a parent and their child, a bond that transcends time and space. And this bond is reflected in the power of the parent's dua. When a mother or father prays for their child, whether in joy, worry, or despair, Allah listens. This prayer is not just a verbal plea, it is the embodiment of a parent's love, concern, and hope for their child. Number 2. The responsibility of parents in their prayers. While the parent's prayer for their child is immensely powerful, it comes with a warning. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, cautioned parents not to make harmful supplications against their children in moments of anger. He said, "Do not pray against yourselves, do not pray against your children, and do not pray against your wealth, lest your prayer coincides with a time in which Allah is asked and grants what is requested." Muslim. What does this mean for us, dear brothers and sisters? It means that as parents, we must be mindful of the words we speak in moments of frustration or anger. Often we may say things in the heat of the moment without realizing the weight of those words. A parent's prayer can shape the destiny of their child, and therefore it should be a source of mercy, not harm. Even when a child makes mistakes, instead of praying for punishment, pray for their guidance, for Allah's mercy to envelop them, and for their hearts to be led back to the right path. Number 3. The danger of negative prayers, a cautionary tale. Let me share with you a story from the traditions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that illustrates the danger of a negative prayer from a parent. It's a story of a righteous man, a devout worshipper of Allah, who found himself in a great trial, not because of any wrongdoing on his part, but because of his mother's prayer. This man was so consumed with his worship that one day, when his mother called out to him for help with a simple task, he did not respond. His mother, out of frustration, made a prayer against him, asking Allah to test him with something that would prevent him from continuing in his worship. Sometime later, this man found himself accused of a crime he did not commit. Though innocent, he was put through a severe trial. Eventually, his innocence was proven, but the trial was a direct result of his mother's supplication. This story teaches us 2 vital lessons. First, it shows the potency of a parent's prayer, even when made in anger or frustration. Second, it serves as a reminder for children to never ignore or displease their parents, for their discontent can have severe consequences. Number 4. The power of a mother's love, the story of Imam al-Bukhari. One of the most profound examples of the power of a mother's prayer comes from the life of Imam al-Bukhari, one of the greatest scholars in Islamic history. Imam al-Bukhari's mother was a devout woman whose love for her son knew no bounds. When Imam al-Bukhari was a child, he lost his eyesight, and his mother was devastated. But instead of giving up hope, she turned to Allah in heartfelt supplication. Night after night, she prayed for her son's sight to be restored. One night, she had a dream in which the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, came to her, giving her the glad tidings that Allah had accepted her prayer. When she awoke, she went to her son and found that his sight had been miraculously restored. Now, imagine for a moment, dear brothers and sisters, if Imam al-Bukhari's mother had not made that sincere dua. The world might never have known the scholar who compiled Sahih al-Bukhari, one of the most authentic collections of hadith in Islamic history. Every time we read or hear a hadith from Sahih al-Bukhari, we should remember that it was the result of a mother's prayer for her child. Number 5. Honoring our mothers, a path to forgiveness. The status of mothers in Islam cannot be overstated. In fact, honoring one's mother is one of the greatest acts of obedience to Allah, and it can expiate even the gravest of sins. There is a famous story of a man who once came to a scholar, confessing to a major sin and seeking guidance on how to attain Allah's forgiveness. The scholar asked him, "Is your mother alive?" The man replied, "No." The scholar then said, "If she were alive, I would have advised you to serve her, for there is no greater deed than honoring one's mother." This story highlights the immense reward that comes with treating one's mother with kindness and respect. Even when we have fallen into sin, honoring our parents, especially our mothers, can be a means of seeking Allah's mercy and forgiveness. Number 6. Obedience to parents, even in difficult situations. Islam emphasizes the importance of honoring and obeying one's parents as a lifelong duty. The Quran and Hadith repeatedly remind us of the virtues tied to serving our parents, especially our mothers, and how this service is intertwined with our faith. However, it is also clear that this obedience has its limits when it comes to upholding the commandments of Allah. There are moments when a believer may face situations where their parents may ask them to do something that contradicts the teachings of Islam. In such cases, Islam provides a balanced approach, calling for continued respect and kindness, even if the child must disobey the request. A powerful example of this delicate balance is found in the story of one of the Prophet Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, companions, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Sa'd embraced Islam during its early days, and his conversion upset his mother, who was a devout pagan. Out of her love and concern for him, Sa'd's mother tried to dissuade him from following Islam. She was so heartbroken by his new faith that she took an extreme oath. She vowed not to eat or drink until he renounced Islam. She believed that by starving herself, she could coerce her son into abandoning his newfound belief. For 3 days, Sa'd's mother held firm to her vow, refusing food and water. Her health deteriorated quickly, and the emotional strain on Sa'd was immense. Imagine the immense pressure he must have felt, torn between his love for his mother and his unwavering commitment to Allah and His Messenger. However, despite her extreme demands, Sa'd did not renounce Islam. His devotion to Allah was absolute, but his heart was filled with compassion for his mother. He approached her with gentleness and patience, urging her to break her fast and eat. He made it clear that while his love for her was deep, his loyalty to Allah was greater. Sayyid's response to his mother is a profound lesson in how to navigate these complex situations. He did not respond with harshness, nor did he ignore her suffering. Instead, he remained calm and respectful while being firm in his faith. His words to her were filled with love, but also conveyed his unwavering belief. "O my mother, even if you had 100 souls and they departed one by one, I would not abandon this religion." Eventually, realizing that her son would not relent, Saad's mother resumed eating. But his conduct throughout this ordeal is what remains as the focal point of this story. This account teaches us that while the obedience to one's parents is one of the greatest obligations in Islam, it does not surpass our duty to Allah. When there is a conflict between obeying parents and adhering to the commands of Allah, our obedience to Allah must take precedence. However, this must always be done in a way that upholds the principles of kindness, patience, and respect. Islam teaches us that even in disagreement, we must never abandon our good conduct toward our parents. This balance is essential to maintaining both our faith and our familial bonds. In summary, while Islam instructs us to honor and serve our parents, we must remember that obedience to them is not absolute when it conflicts with the commands of Allah. In these moments, we are called upon to show wisdom and compassion, maintaining our faith while treating our parents with the utmost care and respect. Number 7. The Prophet's emphasis on honoring mothers. The importance of honoring mothers in Islam is a recurring theme in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. In fact, it is so significant that it even surpasses participation in battle, which in many instances is considered one of the most courageous and self-sacrificing acts a Muslim can undertake. Yet, when it comes to the rights of a mother, Islam makes it clear that serving and caring for one's mother holds an even higher place. One well-known example from the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, highlights this prioritization. A man once came to the Prophet, peace be upon him, seeking permission to join a battle which was a noble and righteous cause in the path of Allah. However, when the Prophet learned that this man's mother was still alive and needed his care, he instructed the man to stay with his mother instead. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Stay with her, for paradise is at her feet." This profound statement emphasizes the immense reward tied to honoring one's mother. The imagery of paradise being at a mother's feet is not just a poetic expression, but a deep spiritual reality in Islam. It means that through serving one's mother, a person can attain the highest reward, entry into paradise. The implication is clear. While noble deeds like participating in battle for the sake of Allah are indeed commendable, they do not outweigh the continuous everyday service and devotion one owes to their mother. This concept is not a one-off instance in the seerah, life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. On multiple occasions, the Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized the primacy of caring for and respecting one's parents, especially one's mother. In another famous hadith, when a man asked the Prophet, "Who among the people is most deserving of my good companionship?" The Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "Your mother." The man then asked, "Then who?" The Prophet said again, "Your mother." He asked a third time, "Then who?" And the Prophet replied once more, "Your mother." Only on the fourth request did the Prophet, peace be upon him, say, "Your father." This repetition underscores the elevated status of the mother in the eyes of Allah and the Prophet, peace be upon him. But why this emphasis on the mother? In Islam, motherhood is considered one of the most selfless and demanding roles. A mother not only gives birth to her child, but also nurtures, educates, and sacrifices for the well-being of that child in a way no other person can. Her patience, love, and constant prayers for her child make her deserving of a special status that even the most heroic acts cannot surpass. Honoring our mothers, therefore, is more than just a duty. It is a means of drawing closer to Allah and earning His pleasure. Whether it is through physical care, financial support, kind words, or simply being present in their lives, these acts are forms of worship that carry immense weight in Islam. In conclusion, the Prophet's, peace be upon him, emphasis on honoring mothers serves as a reminder to us all of the great reward that lies in fulfilling this duty. No matter how noble or honorable our intentions may be, the care of our mothers takes precedence, for through serving them we open the doors to paradise. Number 8. The story of Uwais al-Qarni, a man honored for his service to his mother. One of the most touching stories from the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is the story of Uwais al-Qarni, a man from Yemen who never met the Prophet but was highly honored by him. Uwais al-Qarni was a devoted son who spent his life caring for his ailing mother. He longed to meet the Prophet, peace be upon him, but he prioritized his duty to his mother over the journey to Medina. The Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke highly of Uwais and told his companions that if they ever met him, they should ask him to make dua for them. The reason for Uwais' elevated status was his unwavering devotion to his mother. This story shows us that even the simplest acts of kindness towards our parents can elevate our rank in the sight of Allah. Number 9. The blessings of a mother's dua in this life and the hereafter. The dua of a mother is not limited to her lifetime. Even after a mother has passed away, her prayers and continuous charity in her name can continue to bring blessings and success to her children. The concept of sadaqah jariyah, or continuous charity, teaches us that when we perform good deeds in the name of our parents, we not only honor their memory, but also ensure that their legacy lives on in the form of blessings. Whether it's through dua, charity, or acts of kindness in our parents' names, the blessings of a mother's prayer and the reward for honoring her continue long after she has returned to Allah. Conclusion. Dear brothers and sisters, as we reflect on the power of a mother's prayer, let us be mindful of the immense responsibility we have towards our parents. Let us never underestimate the power of their dua, whether it is in their lifetime or after they have left this world. The relationship between a parent and child is one of the most sacred bonds in Islam, and the prayers of our mothers, in particular, hold a unique and profound place in shaping our destinies. May Allah grant us the ability to honor our mothers and fathers in this life, to be recipients of their prayers, and to raise our own children in a way that earns Allah's pleasure. And may the prayers of our parents continue to guide and protect us, both in this world and in the hereafter. Ameen.